Hello all. So I've often talked about how the oil industry overestimates the fracking oil of the world. They've got the U.S. being the sole supplier of oil from here on out. And in reality, it's all newspeak. Let's go over to the board and I'll show you a little example of this. Okay, California was supposedly one of the biggest fracking oil reserves anywhere in the U.S. It was estimated that they had 13.7 billion barrels to frack out of California and out in the ocean in this area. Now it's stated that they have overstated these numbers by 96%. Newspeak. That was in 2011. 2014, 600 million barrels. How much supply is 6 million barrels? Well, in the U.S., it'll be consumed with just in 32 days. So for all the environmental damage, the poisoning of the water, the ruining of the land by putting pads all over the place to frack on, and putting all those dangerous chemicals down in the ground, you're only going to get 32 days supply. That's all you get for all the fracking oil in California, one of the biggest reserves in the U.S. So with all these bad numbers, what does peak oil look like here in California in the U.S.? California was one of these, and it went like this, started to go down, fracking came in, fracking is now out. What is it going to look like? Straight down. The more and more I find charts about peak oil, the more I know that the downward part is not at a 2 or 3% decline, but very steep, like a 50 or 80% decline. So I think the planet had better wake up and figure out that the bicycle, the solar panel, and the wind generation, and some water generation is what we're going to be living on, and we're going to have to move to it very quickly. We don't have much more time. Maybe somebody should email this video to the one in the White House in the U.S. That wouldn't do any good. All right, now that we have some bad news, let's go and get some good news, if you call it good news. Okay, Saudi Arabia's fracking gas reserves are up from 285 trillion cubic feet in 2012 to 288 trillion cubic feet in 2014. So as you can see, those numbers aren't that big of a difference. So even their best estimates on fracking are extremely low. Fracking is a very inefficient way to drill for anything, really. It makes no sense that we continue to frack. Look at what we're doing to Oklahoma in the U.S. and the Midwest with multiple earthquakes a day now. And just today there was a 3.6 or so on the Richter scale in Virginia here in the U.S. Another fracking earthquake in another location that rarely gets earthquakes, if it ever. Okay, so OPEC has told Saudi Arabia that they absolutely need to meet their quota of the year in oil pumping, or that the oil markets will start to get severely out of balance, meaning that the supply demand is higher than the supply itself. But the good news is that much of the country, because of the recession depression, as it keeps marching on, except for the 1%, the use of fuel is down because they just can't afford it. So that's sort of good, because the demand for oil is down along with the production of oil is down. So we'll see how long we can keep doing this.
before we get the crunch. But if we get the crunch anything like what I'm seeing of what peak demand looks like, such as peak oil, steel, all the rest of it, concrete and aluminum and copper, just to mention a few of them, including clean drinking water, which is being polluted drastically by the fracking industry now, it's going to be time that we need to ride bicycles and walk to the store or take mass transit. But after a while, if we see a drop-off like I'm seeing in California, it will be here so quickly that we won't have enough time to develop ourselves out of this severe problem, if you know what I mean. So anyway, that's our oil update, and I appreciate all the comments and all the new followers, but it's starting to get heavy drizzle around here, so I've got to put the lid on the camera before it gets all wet. So till next time,